Hey everybody, this is Robert Burke. Welcome to episode number 35 of When to Play. And today we are going to be talking about a game, a very heavy game, called Nothing Personal. This game is designed by Tom Vassell and Steve Avery, and it is distributed by Game Salute. And it is a huge, heavy, very heavy box. The first thing you'll notice when you open this game, the first thing you'll notice is the art, and I usually like to talk about the artwork. The artwork is very well done throughout the whole game. If you watch When to Play, you know that I'm not a huge fan of more cartoony work. I like more realistic, painterly images in my game, so I'm not a huge fan of the style. But if you are a fan of this style, it's excellent. It's very well done, and that's just a personal preference for me. You may have a different preference as far as the art goes, but the art is very consistent throughout the whole game, and it's very well done. When you open the box, you're going to notice that the component quality here is really, it's through the roof. I don't think I've ever seen a game that's had such high quality components before, actually. And I think it was a Kickstarter game, and I think they blew through all their stretch goals, and they put a lot of that money that they made on those stretch goals back into the components. So just to give you an example, I'm not going to go through everything in this whole box because there's a ton of stuff here, but just to give you an example, there's different families in this game. In the game, it's a mobster game, right? So you're playing different, you're trying to influence different mobsters for your family. So you're playing as a family, like this is the Della Rosa family. And they've actually included individual tuck boxes for all the different families with their own symbols on the back of the tuck boxes. So in here you can put all your influence tokens, which are nice, thick, cardboard counters that you use in the game, and your meeple, your colored meeple that goes with your family can go in there. So it just makes it's really nice to just be able to put all the components for each family in these at the end of the game, and so that they stack really nicely in the box. Little touches like that, but also the component quality, the money. When they did the money, they did these nice, thick, perfect size money tokens. They're big enough where they're not going to get lost. They're not going to fall in between cracks, but they're small enough so they're easily to handle and they don't take up space. So the money tokens are fantastic. Each family has a nice thick cardboard player sheet that gives you all the steps in the game that you need to worry about, and gives you little information about the game. That things you can do on your turn, that kind of stuff, and you can keep your money and influence tokens on here. Obviously not needed, but included, right? And these are heavy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different families, I think, in the game. 5 different families in the game. So 5 of these adds a lot of weight to the game. So that's expensive, right? So they really spared no expense in the game, not just in producing the game, but what it costs to ship this game too is probably significant. The dice, there's 3 nice, very nice custom dice in here, etched. They're etched, so dice, high quality again. You get thick metal coins in the game that you use for taking various actions, blackmail tokens. So again, a nice bag full of thick metal coins. I don't think you'll see too many games, even designer games, that have components like this. And the coolest thing, I think this was a stretch goal too, is the capo ring. If you become the capo, if you're the godfather during the game, you get the ring. And it's cool because it fits me perfectly, which makes me like, I might be a little biased because of that, but it just feels good when you got the capo ring on and you're the capo. Because in this game, if you're the capo, you really feel like you have power because you're going to break all the ties, and people are going to they're going to be asking for favors. You can say, yeah, I'll do a favor for you. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Players in this game will start taking on Italian accents from some of their favorite movies. The Godfather or Johnny Dangerously are popular in our game group. So I'm going to talk about the game in a minute. I just wanted to cover the components because they're really fantastic. And then the cards, there's a lot of cards, and they're really high quality as well. Artwork, original artwork on all of those. So I just wanted to, before I get into the gameplay, I wanted to talk about the component quality. It's really, really fantastic. Alright, so nothing personal. When to play this game? Who is this game for? First of all, I've got to tell you, this is really an Ameritrash game at heart. You are going to be rolling dice. You are going to be stabbing each other in the back. It is not, if you are a pure strategy gamer or a Euro gamer, this is not going to be something that you, if you don't enjoy kind of backstabby games, this is not going to change your mind. You are not going to love this game if you are somebody who just only likes strategy games or Euro games. It's not that kind of game. But with that being said, there are a lot of great decision points in this game. You're going to have a hierarchy. I'm not going to open the board because I'd have to get all those components out. It would take me all day. But there's cards, different gangsters that come out, and you're going to be placing your influence tokens on gangsters. And whoever has the most influence tokens on a gangster, when it comes to a certain phase of the game during a round, you are going to collect rewards for having the most influence on that gangster. And you are going to get to take specific actions because you have the most influence on that gangster. And what makes it really interesting, if there's more than a certain number, and it varies with the player count, of influence on a gangster, that gangster has attracted the feds, and that gangster is going to go to jail. So sometimes you're placing influence tokens because you want to have the most and get a certain ability for that phase of the game so that you can take some action that's really going to help you score more respect. And that's how you win this game, is by gaining the most respect in the game. So a lot of times you're trying to get some certain action, but sometimes you're just placing tokens because you want somebody to go to jail, because maybe he's been the capo for 2 rounds in a row and he's just got to go. You got to open up some space so you can move one of your guys up there. So there's this constant negotiation that happens in Nothing Personal. So if you are somebody who likes negotiation in games, this is a game you absolutely have to try. If you are not a fan of games with negotiation and games that require diplomacy, then this is something you don't want to play, because it is all about that. It's what makes this game so much fun, is it really drives interaction between players. And if you play it with the right group of people, especially people who are willing to take on those kind of mafioso roles while they play, it's a blast. I will say it goes long. It can go kind of long, so that's something to consider as well. But if you're having a good time, that might not be an issue for you. There are issues with the rulebook and the board. Some of the items that are in the rulebook don't match what's on the board. Some of the components are not even mentioned in the rulebook. So, they had some issues with the rulebook. I think a lot of those are very well known now, and I'm pretty sure they've put out corrections. I think they actually have stickers that you can get to fix some of the stuff on the board that's not consistent. But there's ways around that. I mean, if you have a question on a rule, you can go to Board Game Geek and figure out pretty quickly, how that rule is supposed to work. But if you're somebody who's not watching this video or doesn't go to Board Game Geek and gets the game, it might be frustrating trying to learn it. It's not that difficult, but there were definitely issues with the rule book and the printing of the board. So I don't want that to scare people away, though. I would highly recommend that if somebody in your group has this, play it with them, especially if you like negotiation and player interaction and backstabbing. If you like that kind of game, you're going to love Nothing Personal. The theme really comes out that way in this game, because you really are playing like a mobster. All right, so as we usually do, let's look at some of the ratings people have given Nothing Personal on Board Game Geek. Currently, it's ranked very well. I mean, this game hasn't been out that long. It's already has 247 ratings with a rating of 7.34. So that's pretty good. It's got a thematic rank of 182 and an overall board game rank of 1420. which is pretty great. Now, obviously, I think Tom Vassell has a lot of celebrity power within the board gaming world. A lot of people watch his shows, his videos, or they listen to his podcasts, or visit his website, watch his reviews. So a lot of people are probably very familiar with Tom. So I'm sure that helps get people that are on Board Game Geek are familiar with him, so they might be more willing to rank the game. I want to talk more about the game itself outside of that, though. But it does have a very good ranking, especially for a game that's so new. If we look at the ratings, let's look at what some people said that have rated it very low. Like, let's see. So we've got number 1, the last one, somebody, Dario, is rated a 1, and he's left a 3-word review. So maybe he didn't have a lot of time to really express his thoughts. He said, random convoluted nonsense. So, okay, so it doesn't really tell us much except that Dario doesn't like random games. And is it random? Well, it's got dice, right? It's got card draws. But it's really not just random stuff going on here. You have got to plan, and you've got to use diplomacy. You have got to use subtlety. You have got to be able to mold other players to do things that you want to do. So again, that negotiation aspect, it's not a very measurable Euro game where it's all strategy. If I move here, they're going to move there, or I need to do this, so 2 moves in the future I can do that. No, the key here to playing well is to get other people to be on your side and help you move forward. So if you don't like that kind of thing, if you find that kind of thing random, then you're not going to like Nothing Personal. John Doe says dice rolling, it's nothing personal. So again, another review of 1 that doesn't tell us anything except that John does not like dice rolling. Alright. So Mr. M says this is the king. He says this is the king-making game. Might as well ask players to vote who they would like to win the game, and save yourselves 90 minutes of king making. I think Mr. M might have a valid point here, because if somebody gets ahead, other players are going to be more willing to team up to take that leader down, which is going to leave somebody else in a position to king making might happen. That can happen. But really, that's pretty thematic, right? This is a very thematic game. You're all playing different families of mobsters, and your goal is to get ahead. And if somebody is way ahead, the other families might gang together to get a piece of the action, right? So I have no trouble with that. I think it is thematic, and I think it's fun. And I think it's more about telling a story and having fun with your friends than it is about being very mathematical and here's how I'm going to win the game. It's not that kind of game. So again, if you're a Euro gamer or a strategy gamer and you like this very, stoic kind of mathematical resolution and mechanical games, if that's what really appeals to you and not so much thematic games or negotiation games, you're not going to like this. Is there a reason to rate it a 1? No. All right, so let's look at some people who rated it a 10. Guar Juice just leaves a 2-word comment rated at 10 and says Dice Tower. So this is just as bad as somebody who rates it a 1 and writes that it's random. That doesn't tell us anything. So Guar Juice, all right. So maybe he's a fan of the Dice Tower. He doesn't tell us anything about the game, but he rates it a 10. All right. So Robert Miller says I gave this a 10 on theme alone. It's about time someone has come up with a good Mafia game. Well, I think there's a lot of good Mafia games out there, but I think Robert has a very good point here. The theme really comes through in Nothing Personal. When we play this game, we're all talking in those Italian Mafia accents. We're having a ball. When you get that capo ring, you're wearing it, and you become Marlon Brando. And that's the kind of game it is. It's meant to spur interaction and fun. And so he's got a very good point. It is very thematic. All right, Tony gave it a 10 as well. It says, I instantly fell in love with this game, and that's even after getting destroyed in my first play of it. The game is a battle for influence in a mob by gaining influence over key members and using the powers on influence cards, the gangster cards, and the gangster positions, as well as negotiating with other players to further improve your position. And he says some more, and it says, home run for me on all accounts. So Tony actually gave a pretty good review. He rated a 10, but he told us why he thinks it's a 10, right? And I agree with him. I think you really get a great sense, and it's not about winning. You want to win. You do want to win. You're really trying to get the most respect. So at the end of the game, you win the game. So there's definitely a competition there. But the real fun here comes out in that player interaction that the game drives, where you are becoming these mob characters and trying to influence different thugs to move them up the chain, to become the capo, to get that ring so you have more power. And again, when you get that capo ring, people are nicer to you, right? Because you're the capo. Because in the game, it really does give you power. You're going to be able to break ties and stuff. So people are going to be nicer to you. They're going to be more willing to negotiate with you. So being the capo really does make it it's a goal that people want to go for, getting that capo ring. So all in all, I hope this review has helped you. I think when to play Nothing Personal is when you want to have a good time with people who enjoy negotiation and a high level amount of interaction in their game. You do not want to bring this out at a chess club convention. You do not want to bring this out in front of a group of Eurogamers who like very mathematical, more strategy games. This is truly an Ameritrash game. You can play it with people who aren't gamers. But you're really going to need to make sure you know the rules, because as I said, the rules, there are issues, and if it's your first time in, you might have trouble. You might have to go to the internet to get some clarifications. So my suggestion is play it with some people, learn the rules, then buy it, and then you can introduce regular folks to the game, and I think you'll have a great time. Again, my name is Robert Burke. This was episode number 35 of When to Play, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.